Welcome to Tessera, a podcast by Tesseros. Here, we're crafting life with tools and purpose. Through real examples, thoughtful tech, and practical strategies, we help you master the craftsmanship of your digital and everyday world. If you're looking for a clear place to start learning how to use AI and other technologies to support your work or home, this is your guide. Along with building resilient systems and carving space for creativity, we explore where transformation begins, one intentional step at a time. Hello, thanks for joining me this week. One of the things that I finally got moving forward was a digital family dashboard. So, long term, what my goal with this has been is that I have this wall mounted display that will have our family calendar, any tasks that need to be done per person, but then any smart home implementations that I would like as well, like a button to turn off the house lights and everything would just turn off. I started a Linux server in the summer and I put Home Assistant on it, which is a smart home management type system. But I didn't know what I was doing and I made some choices that were not the right ones. And so I've learned that I need to reinstall Home Assistant on this server, which means that this dashboard product that I finally thought I was ready to do is not quite where it is. But I still had the display and I wanted it to be useful. And so I had given Gemini all of the things that I was hoping to achieve with this. And it was a little bit tricky actually getting it to listen to what I wanted because I decided that instead of having everything I wanted, I kept trying to scale my goal back so that at least I could have something useful now. I don't want the perfect thing in 3 months. I have this display. I want it up on the wall, out of the package, make sure it's working, and start using it, at least even just for our family calendars. Everybody's starting to get more things going on. And so after a little bit of prodding, I did finally get it to show me what the best way to get just the calendars up and running was. And so, what I've switched in our household is Google has a family account, which I didn't fully realize. And so, within the family account, the kids had accounts created anyway because I needed them for Minecraft. And so, I linked them into the family. And then, what that does is that I can now manage the calendars from both my calendar or their calendars independently. You can do this through subscriptions for adults. You can subscribe to another adult calendar, but sometimes the workflow isn't quite as smooth. And one thing I learned with the Google Family accounts is that you can also share subscriptions for things like YouTube. So instead of having to be logged into each other's Gmail accounts, you can share them on this family account. The really nice thing about that is that now those pieces of paper that are just hanging around the house, like show and tell on Wednesdays, bring this letter of the alphabet. I was able to take a picture, get Gemini to convert it into calendar dates, and then quickly import those into my child's calendar so that now we're each color coded on the calendar display. And one of the reasons why I really wanted this as a touch screen and not just a digital display was because I like being able to edit things at point of contact. So, just for my brain, it's best if I can have the ability to edit at the computer or on my phone or at the screen if that's where I happen to be and I notice there's an editing thing that needs to happen. So, that all got up and running earlier in the week, and it's been fantastic because I've noticed each of us now are just stopping and taking a look at what's happening in the week. And it takes some of the pressure off of me feeling like I need to be the one to remind everybody what's coming up. They're checking on their own now. And with the color coding and the separate calendars, it's made it so much easier to tell at a glance what belongs to an individual, what is going to be a family thing like school holidays or company coming to visit. And so it's just made the days feel so much smoother and a little bit less stressful. So I've been really happy to get that up and running and so glad that I got it broken down into a small enough project that at least I have the calendar. And when I get to the rest, I get to the rest, but something is happening. One of the things I learned while I was doing that is that um, well, I got a little click happy with Gemini. And so I accidentally pressed OK, integrate workspace before I really fully comprehended what I was saying yes to. So slow down, read the buttons before you click. But I said yes. So I'm still looking into what are the concerns that I would need to have as an individual about this. I'm not sharing any data that's not mm, belonging to me. So I feel like my risk is relatively low because I'm sharing Google things with Google. They were probably talking anyway, but that is something to just be aware of. However, with that integration from Gemini, I was able to have it edit my calendar directly. So it can't do like subservient calendars, it can do the primary calendar. So my Gmail account can be edited by Gemini, not my children's, but it can do it directly. So I could talk to Gemini and say what I was trying to achieve in the calendar, and it went and it could do it in my calendar. And then when we realized that it put the, show and tell events in my calendar instead of the child's, it was able to delete them as batch, which I thought was quite cool. But it also let me know that it could set it up as a recurring calendar event with exclusions to events. So there's definitely cases where I could see that being useful, just didn't happen to be what I needed, but I thought it was fantastic. It could delete everything that it put in by accident and then create me a CSV file that I could download and import into the correct calendar. But doing that through the digital tools, again, was so much faster than if I had been trying to manually put those in each week with all the selections I would have needed to do. So that was great. Another thing that I've been using it for recently is visual design for branding. This is not my skill set and it takes me so long. And there's certain things you look at a web page and you go, it does need the graphic it's telling me should be there, but trying to figure out what you want it to look like. And of course, there's not stock photos for what you would hope to achieve. So I worked a lot with Google and Gemini, ChatGPT and Gemini to give me the ideas of icons that I was looking for a consulting and workshop tab on my website. And so I got the glyphs. I got the ideas for the glyphs, and then I worked through with ChatGPT to get the kind of image that I was looking for. Some it got quite close on, but some of what I ended up having it do was create just an outline of an image and then brought it over to Canva to finish editing on my own because I was getting pieces of what I wanted, but I couldn't quite get it to happen all in one generation. And so moving to Canva let me pull pieces together a little bit more easily. And then I could also edit the colors. So that was a bit of a workflow, but it did help. I've also been playing with Suno AI, looking for AI generated music that I'll be able to use as an intro, outro to the podcast. So I didn't quite get what I was looking for yet. I'm not really sure what I want it to sound like, but I had a lot of fun discussing ideas with ChatGPT and then going over to Suno and, getting some medieval tavern vibes with some fire and forge and all that kind of stuff. So not quite what I want yet, but I really enjoyed playing with it and trying to figure out how I can get that unique personal touch for what I'm looking for. Another piece that I've been using it is content development and editing. So right now I'm working on what kind of started as positivity, then morphed to happiness, and now has shifted to flourishing. So I'm working on this toolkit. And as I go through and I get my ideas and I explore new ones, it's been so helpful to brainstorm with both ChatGPT and Gemini on the different pieces. They respond different, they give me different ideas. And I can honestly say at this time, I'm probably 50-50 between the tools. I am giving them the same prompt, and then they're giving me enough different content that I go, okay, I want this from this system and that from that system. And then I pull it together and then start reworking it from there. But the balls are rolling in different directions. And so it's really interesting to get the two different perspectives and then come back and go, okay, so what is the core of what I'm looking for? And then even when I get my content drafted, looking at the editing that comes out of the two systems is quite different too. So ChatGPT is definitely better at trying to keep the tone that I'm looking for and sticking to the brand and the personality of what I'm trying to develop. But Gemini is definitely stronger on the professional business side. And so, depending on what you're looking for, it is probably worth going back and forth between the two systems. And there are others out there, just Gemini is part of the Google suite, and I use other Google products. So, that was my more interesting secondary one. I'm doing less technical writing at this stage, but I have heard for technical writing that Claude is a fantastic one. But from what I'm trying to do, these two seem to be working quite well. So, yeah, that's what I've been working on this week. I'm trying to keep these episodes relatively short for you, so I hope that it stays useful and I'll keep them as punchy as I can. This week's mini challenge is to pick one small task in your life, either home or work, that feels a bit too big or overwhelming to tackle all at once. Then I want you to use AI to break that task down into smaller steps and complete just the first piece of it this week. Once you get it broken down and you have one piece going, it's so much easier to either get momentum or just have something done. And that feels fantastic too. Thanks for joining me. I can't wait to see you next time. Thanks for listening to Tessera. If this episode sparked an idea or helped you forge a new path, we'd love to hear it. Tessera is built by community. Send us your questions, feedback, or stories about how you're using AI or other technologies to simplify your life. Email us at hello@tesseros.com or leave a review on the app where you're listening right now. And if you know someone who's looking to craft their life a little bit differently, please share this episode with them. You can find all episodes, show notes, and extras at tesseros.com/tessera and subscribe through your preferred podcast app. Until next time, keep placing the pieces that matter.